Hi, this is Erin from Blossy Bee. Welcome to my channel. The plan for this video is to continue making beautiful home decor pieces using silicone molds I unboxed in my last video. I've loved the items I've made so far with epoxy resin, and today I'm using SolidCrete, an eco-casting compound, to switch things up. I really hope you enjoy, and I'll leave the link to the first video in the description box. So in a previous video, I made some super cute things, an axolotl and a very cute mushroom and a paw print little trinket dish and some mermaid tails. But I had to guesstimate the capacity of the molds, and I shouldn't have done that. So I wanted to just show you quickly what I normally do. So I'm going to pop the axolotl mould on my scales inside of a dish, and then I'm just going to pour water into the mould, and I just gently pour until I feel it's just about to start to overflow. And my scale says, I'm not quite sure if you can, so 174. I'm going to round that up to 180, drop that down. Then all I do is tip that out into there and set that aside. They were on the bench waiting to be washed up, so I just said I'll grab these. And now I'm going to do the pour trinket dish, and I'll show you how I work with a two-part mould. So you can either tip this water out now, or you can do a couple and then tip it out. So I'm going to zero back, and then I've got filled again right to the top. And I'm sitting on 95, and let's have a look, how close is that? I'm actually just going to put 95. I can sort of see from the side, whoops, 95 goes down here, how full that is, and I'll tip that one out. Then I've got the lid. Okay, I'm going to say that one's 110 grams, and then I add the two together, and then that will give me my total of 205 grams. So when I'm finished, all I do is I have my jug of water, pour it in, and it's as easy as that. So I'm going to go through and get all of these measurements now, and then I'll show you what we're making today. Okay, I've weighed all of the pots. These are the ones I'm working on today. Before I get started, I just wanted to run through with you how to do the maths for this. I do go over this a fair bit, and I apologise if it's getting boring, but I'm finding pretty much every video I explain this, I have someone new saying, oh goodness, I didn't know that. So this jar, it took 260 grams of water. That would also equal 260 mils, by the way. So if I was going to make this out of resin, that's how much I would need. Now I want to make this out of Solid Solutions SolidCrete. It's a mineral casting powder, and to get to that I know that I need to multiply the amount in grams or mils by 1.9. So I'll just quickly do that. So 260 times 1.9. And that gives me 494. Now, the mixture that I'm using is a 4-part product. So I need to divide this into 4, divided by 4 equals 123.50. Now, I don't like the sound of that. I'm going to round that up to 125. So each part is going to be 125. Now, I need 1 part water, and I need 3 parts of the powder. So this one becomes 375 grams. So 3 times that, and this one of course is just 1 part. So this is how much I would make up if that was how well, I do it actually for all of my molds, and I keep a spreadsheet. So I keep both if I'm making it up with resin, 260 mils. If I'm making it up with an eco casting powder, then this is the amount I need. So I know that I'm going to need 500 grams, and that is made up of 1 part water and 375 grams, which is 3 parts of the powder. I hope that helps. Okay, I'll set up now for the making. Now, if I was making these out of resin, I would have to let them dry. These have got a tiny little bit of water left on them, especially if I'm making them out of polyurethane resin. That is completely moisture no. So because I'm using a water-based product, I am safe to use them as is. Okay, so I'm going to start off with, let me think. This is so exciting to have options. Oh, I think I might go and choose some colours first. I'll just run through the moulds with you. This is a pot that I received, a pot like this in a resin mould box pack, and I just loved it. I call it a waffle pot because it looks like waffles, and so I'll make that one. This one is a super cute little planter. Sorry, I would go that way. And this one's a bit of a mystery mould, but I can see there's sort of flowers, and I thought maybe I saw an insect, but I'm not sure. So that one will be exciting. And then this is a little wave-topped jar, the wavy rim. Again, one of the resin moulds box moulds that I think it was in the Christmas one actually. It was a larger version, and I wanted to see what this little one came out like. So I'll go and get some pigments and see how we go. And I'm not sure why, but for some reason I absolutely am not able to continue until I've sorted through my mica powders. Oh dear, this happens. It's perhaps part of having a wonderfully neurodiverse brain. I don't know, but it's happening. Got so many beautiful colours. Oh, I love them. Deep sky blue. I've actually got to not look at them and commentate on them all. I've got to just sort them. So I'll keep doing this. I'll just play a little bit of music because some people might like sorting, and if you don't, it'll be over very quickly. That was very satisfying. So I've noticed that I have a lot of these little ones that are from the amazing set of 24 mica powders, and I'm going to try and see if I can use these up, and then I can properly sort these. That would, see, this is fun for me. I love doing that sort of thing. So what have we got? Some blues, greens, lots of blues and greens. I can put those all in order later. And lastly, my whites, blacks, golds and browns. Perfect. Haha. I feel like I have done a really good job. I get these, you know, you have little tasks in your head. You think, oh, it'd be really good if I did that one day. That one day has come. Let's have a look what we've got. White, okay, periwinkle purple, espresso brown and cherry red. Right, okay, lovely. All right, I'm thinking that this one, I would like to do this in sort of beautiful blues and greens. So I'm thinking, what's this one? Robin's egg blue, so we can use that one. How pretty is that? Seaweed green. I like that a lot, and that's got a bit of a contrast. Maybe I'll put them that way. And then what have I got? Ice blue might be a bit close to that. That might not be quite different enough. Cornflower blue, deep sky blue. What if I throw that into the mix? I might get rid of seaweed green and I'll go with those 3 colours. So that's for this mould. So I'm going to do sort of a dirty marble pour for all of them now, it seems. Apparently the colours have spoken. All right, then what am I going to do? I don't think I've ever done green and pink before. Would that be a thing? So for this little one, I'm going to choose, who's that seaweed green? That's so pretty. I'm going to choose those, and what's this one? Sweet pea pink. It might be awful. It might not. I don't know. All right. For the little geometric pot, I am going to go cherry red, which I'm pretty sure will probably come out a pink colour, tangerine and papaya. Is there enough difference between those? No, probably not. I might switch that up. Will that make it too dark? Look, we'll give it a shot. So that's for the terracotta pot. And then lastly, for the little one I'm calling the waffle pot, I'm going to go, I've never done this combination before either, so I'm going to go cherry blossom pink and orange and is that amethyst purple. Look at that. And these little ones are all lonely. So I've got raven black charcoal, mocha brown. I wonder if mocha brown, no, we'll keep it light. Periwinkle purple, and these ones left over. So I'll sit them here because then that will ensure I know I have to use them at some stage. They're crying out for usage. All right, first one off the rank we will do. So now I have to do even more maths, which I love. So what I have to do now is work out how much of each of these I need to mix up. So I've got, we'll do the embossed jar first. So I know that I need 600 grams in total. Sorry, 500 grams in total. Okay, and so then all you do on 500. And then I want to work out that in thirds, and it's 166-ish. So I'm going to do 160 and then we'll do 180. And then this means that two of the colours, so now I divide these numbers by 4. So 4 4s are 16, so I need 40 grams water and 120 grams of powder. And then this one, if I divide that, it works out to 40 grams of water and 135. Sorry, I just had a little brain, whoop, no. 35, 48, yes, correct. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to need for this large pot. So we'll start getting that ready. Okay, the pot is there. Now it is heavily embossed, which is a little bit alarming. And I did say I was going to use these 3. I'm probably going to get these mixed up now, but it doesn't matter what they go in something, don't they? So I've got these 3 and I need to measure out 3 cups 40 and 45. Apologies because I'm doing the powder first. I need 120 and 135. Yeah, so just to keep on track, I'm just going to write 40 on these 2 and on this one 45 and 135. Hopefully that will keep me in line. I'm starting to lose the light here. It is, let me have a look at the time. It's nearly 5:15 in the afternoon, and in Tasmania at this time of the year, it definitely starts getting dark around now-ish because I wasted time, well not wasted time, I invested time in sorting out my pigments. That only took 5 minutes, so. Okay, so we need 120 grams. I buy SolidCrete from Solid Solutions in Australia, and it always ships very quickly, very securely, and it's in a really big tub, a 10-kilo tub next to me on the floor. And so I'm just got into the habit now of just putting some into this plastic container and then using that to measure out. So it's a bit easier than sort of, or if you've seen what I did before, some of you would get the shivers. I would actually scoop like into a spoon or a cup or a measuring cup and swivel around in my chair, and of course, you know, accidents happen, powder goes. It was a bit silly, but anyway. Okay, I also have a little vacuum cleaner right beside me on the floor all the time to clean up anything like that. Okay, that's another 120. Now this one, we need 135. Just checking that the weight is teared back. Quite excited to see what happens with these colours. You know, sometimes though, with resin and with an eco casting compound, colouring the different pieces, and then you end up, they just all bloop together. There are ways of managing that, but with this one, I'm not going to worry about it. One of the ways would be by allowing the mixture to thicken up and then pour it, but because of the amount of detail inside of here, I really don't want to be doing that. So I'm just going to dust this off. Done. Okay, so I'm going to make the larger one, only marginally larger. It's not that much larger, is it? This colour. And remember, this was Robin's Egg Blue. And I'm just going to stir carefully because I am near the top of the cup, which is silly. However, having said that, I would not be upset if there was some white showing in this, because that gives me a fourth colour and variations of colour as well. Note to self, always use bigger cup. I don't know how my notes to self never work. Mainly because I just say the words note to self. They don't actually get recorded anywhere. All right, ready. Okay, so that one, Robin's Egg Blue. If we love it, we can remember that. This one, Deep Sky Blue. This is one of those ones that, like the black, I suppose it doesn't matter if it's a lighter colour, but when you've got a darker mica powder that you didn't wipe the lid off, if you know, you know, it just sort of sprinkles everywhere. Okay, getting that all mixed in. So that's looking very light at the moment, but I'm not upset about that. So when you're using mica powders to colour your eco casting powders, you are of course battling against the fact that the material is a really pure white. This one's turquoise blue, and so you're never going to get, well, you could, but you'd have to put in way more mica powder than I think would be, you know, in the best interests of your casting powder curing. And so I always just know that I'm going to get a more muted colour. However, I have got some fairly beautiful intense colours using this method, particularly when you go ahead and wax the product after it's cured for a few days. That can often really lift the colour and, you know, look quite amazing. All right, they are looking gorgeous. So I've got our three colours, not mixing them super well because I'm quite happy having them a little bit muted. That's how it happened. Just give this a clean up with my, it's just a organic window and glass cleaner with Tasmanian lavender. I just like it because it's really gentle, and most of the spills can be wiped up with just a gentle detergent. They don't need alcohol. I think us resin crafters overuse alcohol. I'm so guilty of that myself. Oh, not in the drinking sense. In the spraying it around sense, just to be clear. Okay, I've gone up a size in the cup, so I need to write on these 40 and 45, which is our 1 part water. Make sure it's teared back. And the great thing about SolidCrete is that it uses tap water, so there's no worry about having to, you know, pay freight for extra heavy products. This is why I keep my scales inside a plastic bag, because apparently I can't be trusted. 49, I'll just take a teeny little bit out of that. Not that it would matter. It's really quite forgiving. And then I need 240. And here we go. So you can adjust the consistency of this mixture, which is another great thing I love about it. By using tap water, you're never going to end up with, you know, more of one part than the other as you would in a 2-part system. So it's very economical from that perspective. I wouldn't suggest mixing around your ratios until you're, you know, experienced. And so I've got them all in order. So I haven't got long to work with these, and that's okay because I'm going to try and work quite quickly. What I think I'll do is I'll move my mould, and then I can my leveling mat back so you can actually see what I'm doing. All right, let's start getting these colours in. Now, I'm not being super fussy about it being perfectly blended today. I would if it was just one colour and I was going for a really consistent colour, but I'm not. I don't mind. I just want it to be interesting. Okay, and then I can use that cup again. That is so pretty. Loving it. Okay, next. Exactly the same. Wow, they are looking amazing. This one's the slightly larger mix. Okay, the clock is ticking. So what colour do we want the top? Let me think quickly. We'll put in the lightest and purple, green, purple, light, green. Now at this point, I'm going to try and be a little bit tricky and just ease the mixture around the edges, just to try and get all of those intricate little details. Okay, we'll go a little bit of purple, a little bit of darker green. This is starting to thicken up. Lighter green, lighter purple, lighter green, and dark green, and then I'll do a little bit of scraping, and absolutely perfect measurement. That makes me very happy. Gosh, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, so that went really well. Very gentle tapping this. I'm not going to disturb the pieces that have come over, because once this is cured, they will be super easy to just brush off. I was going to try and move it a little bit. Go. And what's coming over the side I'm going to leave as well to dry, because that will go into my terrazzo pot. So terrazzo is where you take little chips of a colour and mix them in with a main colour, and then when they're cured you just sand it back and it exposes the beautiful colours that you embedded inside of it. Okay, get this all tidied up. Well, that was exciting. Those colours, instead of looking a little bit mermaidy from here, I'm very happy with that. Okay, now we'll do our little waffle pot next, and we'll do the maths for that one. So the waffle pot, we don't need to, because that's so easily divisible by 3. So each of the 3 parts, so they will become 20. So 20 and 3 in 180 is 60, so 20 to 60. So that's a very easy one to work out. Right, so I need 3 little pot of 20 grams, of 60 grams of powder. So I've got my 3 pots from before. I'm not terribly worried about cross-contamination of colour, because it's only just a minute amount in and I'd rather recycle them. And we're looking for 60 grams. Perfect. Lucky last. I could almost certainly do this with a larger spoon. However, experience has taught me that the smaller the spoon the better, because you can actually angle it in and avoid too much spillage. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, first up is tangerine. I love this colour. My mum loved orange and it actually became a bit of a problem. Sorry. As many of you know, Mum died a few months ago, and I'm trying so hard to, you know, think of all the wonderful memories and not sort of focus on the time leading up to her death or the months in the nursing home, because it was horrible. And one of the ongoing sort of things that we always giggled about with Mum, my sister and I, was her strange love of orange, and her backup colour was green. She loved a sort of a sage green. She would have loved that, for example. And I remember taking her furniture shopping one day. She wanted to buy a new lounge suite, and so we started going to, you know, some of the sort of big box furniture stores, and she was just incredulous that there were no orange lounge suites. I was grateful, and I remember we were in one shop and she was sort of almost giving this guy a hard time over, like, the fact that there must be a section somewhere slightly out of view where all of the orange lounge suites were, and he's assuring her that no. Luckily, just then I spotted this absolutely beautiful sage green velvet 3-piece reclining suite, and I distracted her and took her over and showed her that, and she fell in love with it. But guess what colour cushions she got? Funnily enough, orange is a much easier accent colour to find than, you know, the main event. So I always have a bit of a giggle when I see orange. I think, there you go. I like orange, it's great. Okay, I'll just get 3 cups and we'll do our water. So the water for each of these is exactly the same, which is 20 grams, not 26 grams. Look, that will do. I'm being very naughty now. Slightly better behaved. I can hear Tess at the door. This is around about the time my son usually comes home at the evening, and I am the spare human in that dog's life. She adores Jack in the most ridiculous way. It's beautiful, and she'll be down there waiting. But tonight he's not coming home till later, so she'll be devastated. No doubt she'll come up here in a little while and tell me off. Anyone else's dogs do that? It's quite funny being told off by a small little fluffy creature. But if Jack doesn't get home at the right time, it's my fault, and she has no hesitation in coming and telling me all about it. So we might get a little interruption shortly. Whereas our other little dog, Milo, everyone else in his life is the spare human, and I'm his main thing. And Jack always says that we have a sort of a symbiotic relationship. I sit down on the couch and Milo sits right on me, and we're sort of bottom to bottom and plugged in, so to speak, and it's quite cute. He's very warm, and I appreciate it. I appreciate him going out of his way to keep Mummy warm. Hello, Milo. Milo's just come in to get a drink. Sure, sure. And these colours are pretty. Okay, so I've got a little bit of the, what was it? Tangerine first, of course, and a little bit of that espresso brown. And then we've got this red, which, as I predicted, cherry red, it would be more of a pink, but also I didn't put a lot in. I'm wondering if we're going to get an oddly tiered effect, and if so, I should have been pouring more in the centre. I actually love how that cherry red is as a pink. Now, just before I fill the absolute last little bit, I'm going to give it a little bit of a jiggle and a tap, not too much. I'll put it into its final resting place. So, okay, perfect. Perfect. Hopefully, teeny bit of orange. Yes, perfect. So that was a really good amount as well. All right, it looks like a sunset. Okay, moving through them. This sets so quickly. That's, says she denting it with her fingernail. That's quite hard now already. Quick, clean. All right. Now, what are we doing? We will do the, what will we do? We'll do the little wave top jar next. So I've got these three colours for this one, and let me have a look. Wavy top jar. Okay, so we can, I was just going to try and show you how to do this without sort of worrying about tiny little moth. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. It's the kind of moth that'll end up starting to do this, and you'll all think I'm just crazy. So we're going to do colours in 1 and 2 and then 3, and the wavy top jar is 55, so I'm going to do 20 and 60 for both of those, so that'll take us up to 40, and then I'm going to do 50 and 45. So if I add those all together, so 2 of those is 120 plus that's 165, that's correct. 2 of those is 40 plus that is 55, so I need 2 20s and a 15. So I'll get my cups back. 20, and this one will be a 15. All right, so my 20s require 60 grams of the powder. So far I've been really happy with the measurements. They've worked out perfectly. I mean, obviously that one is a teeny bit over, and if I felt strongly enough about it, I would make a little extra with that or adjust it, but I don't. It's not much. Okay, so we needed 60. I was just spooning in, happy as anything. No scales on, no plan. 60, same for this one. If you can hear birds outside, those particular birds are very common in Tasmania, and they are called masked lapwings, and their common name is plover, and they have a almost machine gun warning sound, and that's that noise you can hear. They are, in my opinion, not the smartest birds in the world. They're incredible parents. When they have their little babies, they guard them absolutely fiercely, and you do not go anywhere near a plover's eggs or baby. They're also heavily protected by law, but yeah, you will get swooped, and they have spurs on their feet, and you just don't want that to happen. And so the reason I don't think they're very smart is, like, particularly, say for example at my school, once the kids go home overnight, it's really calm, beautiful, you know, all these big spaces. And so then the plovers are like, that would be a great spot to raise our family. You know, so like a 3:15 of an afternoon, they fly in, pick a spot in an open playground with, they don't, I don't think they even really build a nest. They just literally do all of this on open ground. Sorry, this one's cherry blossom pink. And then they're always totally surprised the next morning when hundreds of school children turn up. And, you know, then they just get totally upset about it and swoop the kids and so on and so forth. And at times it has been so bad that we've had to have the nests, maybe they do have nests, I'm not sure, either the babies or the eggs, you know, moved by wildlife services because it's just, the parents have just completely lost it. And, you know, we're in a high traffic area and it's just terrible. Anyway, that's why I don't always think they're the smartest bird ever. And I always remember when I was at primary school, I would walk from home to the bus. It wasn't very far, just maybe a kilometre. And plover season was dreadful. You'd have to carry an umbrella, which is such a good look when you're like in grade 4 or 5 or whatever. And you would just get swooped non-stop. It was really bad. They're a little bit like magpies like that, but magpies seem to do theirs for completely irrational reasons not known to man, but plovers pretty much only ever do it to protect their young. And as I said, they are remarkable parents. They really are, and their babies are so cute. But yeah, their nesting habits are crazy. It always just makes me giggle when I'd leave work of an afternoon and you'd see these two proud parents settling down, you know, making a home for themselves. Oh my goodness, just, you know, if you waited a few hours, you'd see it's not a good spot. Same with golf courses, and they've even done it in car parks and things like that. They're notorious for it. Okay, so we need what have we got? We need a 20 and a 15. Okay, let's see if I can do this like an adult. Get it in without over pouring or spilling. Look at that, 19. Honestly, I'm on a mission to stop doing things that don't bring me pleasure, as long as they're optional. You know, still have to do taxes and stuff like that. But worrying about 1 or 2 grams of water is not high on my agenda of things I want to spend time worrying about. If you weren't crafting with me, I'd be just splashing it around. Okay, so this one is our 15. And this is our cherry blossom pink, which is just such a pretty colour. Love cherry blossom. Quick stir. That is good. All right, then we have got our amethyst purple, which is not looking very bright or dark at all, but we shall find out. These cups are getting lots of use, which is really good. Okay, and then lucky last, we have papaya. Another gorgeous orangey colour. All right. Those together. I would never ever normally have chosen those colours, so this is making me quite brave, which is good. It's good to be a bit different. This one, for some reason, just feels slightly too thick. Oop. Now it's going to be way too runny. Never mind. The water evaporates, obviously, and after demolding, I always let these sit. I do flip them over occasionally. For 3 days is, in my opinion, the optimum time, and then the SolidCrete can reach its full potential. So I'm doing that thing again. I have to get a little bit more creative. I'll have to come up with a little cute pattern that doesn't mean that I'm doing straight lines. Look, the main thing is with this sort of technique is just to get it in there, because it does start curing very quickly, and the thicker it gets, the less chance you have of the bubbles rising up through the mixture. Teeny little bit of unmixed powder there, and just make sure I give the top of the little jar a squeeze like that, and then we can bring it on home. Hopefully our measurements are going to look after us this time. Okay, so this one I have probably 2 teaspoons left over, maybe. Let's see, so I can adjust that measurement. And the other thing I can do is that I can weigh this on demold, and that'll give me a bit of an idea as to how much over I was. All right, actually, what I should do is just very quickly 29. So I'll weigh that mould when it is empty, and that will help me work out. I'm just going to pour it. That was the wavy top jar. Put 29 over in heart. So that'll help me. If you keep a little notebook or an exercise book next to you when you're doing your making, you can really save yourself headaches in the future. Just anything, you know, like this pigment was beautiful, this didn't mix well, this needed more water, things like that. Okay, now on to our lucky last. So that one is pretty much fully cured. Wow, love it. Okay, let's do the math. We've got our little geometric pot with a saucer. This is another really easy one. So 60 and 180. So it is the same as the waffle pot. Brilliant. So we just need 3 lots of 20 of water and 3 lots of 60 of powder. So that's nice and easy. We'll get our containers back. So this one is the easy 60, 60, 60. Oh, I did it again. Oh my goodness. I need one of you here next to me, laughing with me and keeping me on track. Perfect, 61. Now, of course, if I was just using one colour, I would probably combine a couple of these and make a big batch. But because I'm doing 4 quite unique colour patterns, I'm doing them all individually. And, you know, I find this super relaxing and fun. I love it. So for me, measuring everything out 4 times, couldn't care less. I love it. All right, so we need 3 lots of 20. Our 3 colours for this one are ice blue, seaweed green and sweet pea pink. So first up we have got ice blue. An interesting name because I don't know that I would think that's an ice colour, but I've never been to anywhere where there's massive like shelf ice, so maybe it is that colour. That is so pretty. Okay, loving that one. The next one is seaweed green. This always looks so pretty in the dark. Okay, and lucky last is our sweet pea pink. Sweet peas are one of my favourite flowers ever. I had the most amazing grandmother, my mum's mum. My dad's mum was wonderful as well, but Nan Brown, as I called her, was just my favourite person. And she had a garden with very sort of typical cottage plants, and sweet peas were the other one she had that was really beautiful and smelly. What were they called? Freesias. Oh, she had the most huge hollyhocks. They would be, without a lie, maybe 6-7 feet. They would grow that high. And gladdies. See, old-fashioned. She had the most gorgeous gladiolas of every different colour imaginable. There were always fresh flowers on her mantelpiece, always. And they were always from her garden. And I loved that about her. Sorry, I get the giggles when I start thinking about things, and it's hard now. I'm trying to do my videos with this sort of live recording. I don't know, I think I'm going to be seen as a little bit of a nut job because thoughts that pop into my head aren't protected from you. You're not protected from them because they happen live. Nan was just so much fun. She was very cheeky and a bit naughty and all of the wonderful things, and just so loving to all of her family. She had 6 children. My mum was the baby, and she definitely coddled mum a bit, I think, a lot. But what I was going to say is she was a great cook. She was on a farm. My family had, they ran beef, cattle and vegetables, or just a mixed farm. And so at different times there were a lot of people to feed, not just the fact that she had 6 children and then they all went on. I think she had 28 grandchildren or something like that. But there were always these workmen to feed. And so, as I said, she was a great cook and she used to turn out these amazing morning teas and lunches for them. But any time that she burnt a pot, well, that pot just literally got turfed out the kitchen window into this sort of funny little garden area below, and the next day you'd go out there and it'd be potted. It'd have something stuck in it, like a geranium or, you know, something that you'd just take a cutting of and poke it in. And she was just notorious for that. So in the end, the front sort of, or back, I think it was the back area, we always used it like a front door, was just filled with all these pots with random plants growing in them. And I mean, it looked great if you looked past the pot part of it. But yeah, gosh, whenever my cousins and I get together at Mum's celebration of life, it was so good because, you know, not only were we, you know, missing Mum dreadfully, but it's also just a chance to talk about our heritage, you know, where we came from and all the, you know, I just had the best childhood. It was so wonderful having a great family and wonderful cousins and great Nan and Pop and Nan, and yeah, it's really special. It's funny, I was at my psychologist appointment the other day. I mentioned in a previous video I'm getting some help to try and get through a really traumatic situation that happened at work, and something came up and she said something about me, about, you know, that could be childhood trauma, and I know that is true for so many people and I hate that, I really do, but for me that wasn't my truth or my experience. And I messaged my sister about it because it really didn't sit well with me. I felt it was really awkward, and I remember saying to my psychologist, who's a really lovely and talented woman, and I just like, no, as far as I know, I was just really lucky. I had a great upbringing, not a privileged one by any means. Oh, I guess privileged compared to some, but my family were very working class, I guess, and just happy. Did lots of free stuff, you know, going to the beach and hanging out at Nan and Pop's and things, and yeah. And I'm of that generation too, when, you know, literally we would leave home of a morning and not come home until it was dark. You know, Mum knew we were down in the little bush in front of where we lived and, you know, made houses and everything and did all sorts of stuff. It was just the way it was. So I am privileged in the fact that I do think that I had a really lovely upbringing and that my family above all were just good, decent people and, you know, just nice people. And I think that's one of the reasons I love teaching so much and I miss it so much, is because not every child has that experience. And when you know the difference between, you know, growing up in a family, you know, Mum and Dad were massive readers. They got the Reader's Digest condensed books every month, was it? I don't know, but we seem to have thousands of them. And, you know, Mum would buy me a new book pretty much every weekend. She'd go into the newsagent. I'd get Anne of Green Gables or Nancy Drew or, you know, the Famous Five or Secret Seven, and played games all the time and puzzles. And, you know, back in the old days, so I'm 59, so I was born in 1966, and, you know, our TV only had 3 channels back then, and we loved, my sister and I would put on shows for Mum and Dad, you know, dancing, and look, it was just, yeah, it was pretty simple, but it was fun. And Mum and Dad had a saying, never let the sun set on an angry face, they used to say, but it basically meant don't go to bed at night in the middle of a fight or, you know, feeling bad about something. Talk it out, clear the air, and, you know, have the intention of starting fresh the next day. And I've never ever forgotten that. In fact, I've carried it over into my teaching, and I always practice that with kids. I might have a really rough day with a certain child, and, you know, the next day it is only fair to them, in my opinion, to greet them as if it's just starting fresh, because you don't know what they're coming from, have they had breakfast, you know, did they sleep in a bed last night, things like that. So lots of lovely memories, and they've also shaped who I've become as a teacher. Let's have a look at these pieces. So I'll just do our little extras first. That was our little heart. I'll just make a note over here because that's the one that is 17 gram too much. So I'll adjust that for future reference. Okay, got these two little hearts. Not really worth worrying about. Alright, I don't know which one to open first. Let's have a look at the waffle pot because I've made this several times before. No, look, I've got a bulge. That's not good. I did not notice that happening. I'm loving the colours. Loving them. Goodness. Okay. Well, I love the look of it, but that bulge is really worrying. However, this could be cute for a little, either a potted plant or an air plant or an artificial plant. But those colours are gorgeous. Very happy with it. So next time I make something with that mould, I have to watch out for that. Let's have a look at our little wavy topped mould. So it looks like we've got more of a subtle colour palette here. That's so pretty. That's gorgeous. So silky smooth. Coming off, a little bit of the orange coming off from there. Okay, we'll do this big one next. That's me wanting to pick all that off and clean it up, but I can do that after. Okay, wow. Look at that detail. So they are dragonflies and flowers. That's a decent sized pot as well. Wow, that's so heavy. Love it. And then lastly, we've got our little geometric pot and saucer. I love the saucer. That's so pretty. And this down. That's gorgeous. I think I'm going to love this mould. All right, what a beautiful little pot. I'm really happy with that. Those geometric patterns are just gorgeous. And that is so soft and silky, and the colours are so cute. Look at that. That is just a darling little mould. All right, well, I'm really happy with that. So apart from the substantial bulge in there, everything turned out so pretty. I've got a slight little couple there, so they'll be able to be sanded out, but really nothing around the rim. This one just looks perfect. I can't see anything, nor that one, nor this one. Just gorgeousness. So I'll set these aside, and over the next 3 days they will dry out and cure and reach their maximum strength, and then I will seal them. Time to seal our items, and I'm going to use the Crommelin Ornamental Sealer for this one. And the reason I'm choosing that is because this waffle pattern would be almost impossible, and I've tried, to get a normal wax, even a bottle wax into, but I've found it very easy to do. I'll just move these around with the spray. Okay, so after squirting that on, I'm just going to use a brush. To get all of this coated evenly, and then I'm just going to use a brush to push the sealer into each of the little cells on this pattern. There's no way I would ever get inside each of these with a traditional wax or sealer, so finding this was a bit of a game changer. I'll make sure that I include a link to these products below. I'm not sure how many of them are exclusively available in Australia or not, I'm sorry. But even if, for example, this one wasn't available where you are, it might encourage you to sort of have a look for a spray ornamental sealer, and you might find the perfect one. Okay, I feel quite confident that every single cell has been very well coated, and the inside, which of course is important because this is going to have a little plant in it. Okay, it's going to pop that one there because I'll come back to that. Now I'll clean my brush, and I don't know whether I've tried this or not. Bondall Monocell brush on liquid wax beeswax formula. This is Australian made. So it says a durable finish, easy to apply and maintain, moisture resistant, suitable for bare or stained timber, fast drying and recoat. So it's a brush on wax infused with natural beeswax to provide a smooth, long lasting matte finish. So even though it's for timber, let's have a look. Yes, I may have given this a try before. It's still fine, I believe. You have to do your own research to use for these items. So I'm going to do this little one. Now, when I was sanding the pieces, I realized this is actually a really badly designed mold because the little bottom tray is just not quite big enough to accommodate these little ridges, and I've noticed if I push it down, it actually is pressing on those. So I think what would be the solution there? I mean, it's very pretty like that. You could possibly sand these back, or just don't push it in and out. Just sort of try and do it once and leave it if possible. Okay, so we'll pop this one on. This one said it is a matte sealer. It's definitely making the colours on the inside come up a lot darker and more intense around the top. So in an upcoming video I will do a bit of a comparison with all of the different waxes and finishes, sealants that I've been trialling, and you know, see which one's easiest to apply, waterproof, good value, all of those things that we all, you know, want to know the answer to. So that will be an interesting experiment. Okay, that is looking so pretty. I love it. So here's a little bit I haven't done, and you can see quite clearly how much more dramatic the pieces I've coated with are. Do the base. Love that cute little swirl I put on the bottom. Alright, that's the inside done, and now we'll do this. Straight away you can see that lovely colour coming out. I'm sure some of the darkness is just the fact that it's, you know, wet in effect. It won't stay that intense colour after the wax dries, but it certainly will look darker than if it wasn't sealed. And a brush to me just makes this so much easier when you've got fine detail, or like this one, the geometric shapes to get in and out of, and that's going on beautifully. Okay, switch that around, perfect. And then we've got this little one, might as well do the same. Okay, they are all done now, and all I'm going to do is just use some paper towel to go over them and buff them. So I didn't end up using the Gillies liquid beeswax, but I have used it quite a bit before and I just love it. The smell is divine. This is the one that we did with the Crommelin Ornamental Sealer. It also says on the bottle that this is non-toxic to plants, which I think is great. Highlight natural colours, UV stable, easy trigger application, paintable, seals and protects, non-toxic to plant. I've never really thought before about what I've sealed products with regards to if you pop a plant in them, so I think that's good. That sort of ombre effect is just beautiful. Okay, and now we'll do the ones that were sealed with the Bondall Monocell brush on liquid wax beeswax formula. So a lot of that has soaked in beautifully, and I wish you could feel this. It's just, I mean, SolidCrete is beautiful anyway, but this is just so silky and gorgeous. Done. Now this little one, I feel the inside is like glazed ceramic now. That's just so nice. And of course you don't have to leave it at one coat. You could do 2 or more coats if you wanted to. As to whether you need to or not, I can't answer that yet. Hopefully when I do some, I will know the answer to. Now this one, I might have been better off using a microfiber. Oh, that's okay. I thought I might have sort of shredded the paper towel, all of those amazing details, but I haven't, so that's good. This is a substantial sized pot. Wonderful. Well, there we go. We've got our, I'll just move these away, our random colour mixes, but they came out really pretty. So this is the little pot I call the waffle pot, and as I said, even though it's got that deformation in it, that won't even show when I use it as a planter. Then we've got our gorgeous little wavy topped jar, and I'm just loving the colours in this, particularly those sort of sunset colours through there. And then we've got this geometric pot and saucer, super cute, just screaming out for a cactus, I think. And again, the inside of that is divine. And then lastly, we've got this amazing butterfly. I think I said dragonfly before, but I don't think I can see a dragonfly on it, but it's so detailed and again just silky smooth. Well, that was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it too. Here's our gorgeous little waffle pot, and I've used my photos but asked AI to generate backgrounds for me, and I think that looks so sweet. Loving the colours with that one. Here is that beautiful heavily embossed pot, and again the colours almost look mermaid to me. Very happy with that mould. And then we've got our little wavy topped dish, and I think this would be just beautiful on a bedside table or a dressing table for trinkets. And lastly, yes, I knew this would look cute with a cactus in it, our little geometric pot with a base. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'm so grateful for your company. I'm really looking forward to reading your comments, and I'll leave links for the materials used in the description box below. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye for now.